Um, I'll avoid sort of individual kind of innovations, although I think there's some really good areas and really good things in the area of guest experience, especially things like the shift to mobile check-in, digital access controls that allow the customer to kind of ignore the front desk and just sort of use the hotel more like it's their personal room. But I think the biggest innovation, which has been a sort of a long project over the last 10 years, has been the shift to the cloud. And moving data out of hotel server rooms and up into the cloud, because with that we free up so much data, so much opportunity to effectively move into kind of hospitality 2.0. Where instead of just being a physical operator that checks in and checks out a guest, that we're actually really able to kind of collect, store, and learn from our data, so that not machines, but so that humans can deliver much better guest experience. My own former company, Snapshot, was part of that journey. So many of what we call PMS companies today are going through that as well. And the innovations that we see most in the last couple of years are how easy it's become to onboard digital technology into your hotel at the click of a button. But this is a kind of a sort of a very early stage in the process. And I think that once hospitality companies become more like technology companies and become more data aware, that's when we're going to see much more of an innovation, but a real revolution within hospitality, because we no longer need to recruit people then for specific roles like reception or housekeeping or food and beverage, because we've been able to have automated much more of the processes within the hotel, meaning that the people that we recruit are really kind of responsible exclusively for human-to-human interaction directly with the customer, and do that with much more data power behind them to make the right decision every time. I think at the moment, the best technologies we can focus on are those that automate manual repetitive tasks. I think especially in areas like reservations, sales, and marketing, there's a lot of areas which frankly the human no longer needs to be involved in. Quite honestly, with a background in revenue management, I think that revenue management also should be fully automated as well. This doesn't mean that you kill your commercial teams, quite the opposite, but you move them away from a lot of those repetitive tasks, everything from data entry and rate management all the way through to the basics of pricing management. And instead you get these teams really kind of focused on researching and understanding who their customer is, how they search for your business, what motivates them to buy, and feed that feedback from a sort of a demand generation point of view back into the machine. So I think that we will see a big shift because of technology away from hiring people to do task work, and instead we'll invest much more in analysts, data analysts, and commercial strategists. So that's one example of where I think that there will be a crossover of technology and human interaction. Let me re-answer that by saying what I'm sad is that in the last couple of years, there's been such a big focus on sustainability. And unfortunately, the COVID era that we now live in means that because of that sort of security and safety, we've had to go backwards in some respects. And so I think that's one of the saddest things in 21 is that we care less about plastic straws and cups and all that good stuff, and we care much more about giving people a safe and secure stay. But for the greater good, I think it's important that we do that, because at the end of the day, we, by nature as humans, we are on this planet to travel and to interact and to share. And the sooner that we can start doing that, if the cost of that is that we put on ice some of our sustainability objectives, to encourage people to kind of re-embrace traveling again, then so be it. My presentation was a predictor of what I think is the trend. I think that the current global chain, global brand approach, they're no longer themselves brands like Marriott and Hilton, etc. They're simply portfolios. And instead, what we're going to see is a kind of a return to a much more conscious decision by consumers to travel with purpose, and as a result of that, to travel to brands that deliver purpose as well. And so I think that means that you will see much greater demand away from kind of a cookie cutter experience through to those companies that really kind of deliver personalized and well-curated branded experiences. The great news is that because of the influence of technology, there are so many new brands appearing, here in Europe that transcend the normal sort of role of hospitality from bed factory for a night, and we now see kind of blended hospitality concepts that cover everything from staying for one day through to 1 year. So I think that sort of mixing of customer segments within hospitality is also going to be a trend in 21 as well. And I can imagine, especially here in Europe, you're going to see really some traditional hotel operators that will now start to compete with co-living, with student housing, with extended and service department stay. And that's going to be really exciting, because the minute that these brands start to do that, they will really consider the impact of technology and what that can do to kind of create better human experiences.